Aries, how are you? Today is June 16th, and I'm here to do your reading for the rest of June 2020. Now, there's a lot of movement in the sky, and actually, first I'm going to get 3 advice cards, put them out here, we'll read them at the end. So, the energy for the next 6 weeks at least, I would say, is going to be very, very, very intense. One of the messages that I got was to actively and intentionally and very purposefully seek out fun, seek out positivity, because right now it can be kind of an emotional quicksand, right? Where a seemingly innocent conversation can quickly go downhill. And leave you with a very sort of sticky emotional residue for a couple of days. So, and remember, this isn't just affecting us, this is affecting everyone. And so everyone is on edge, everyone has their nerves completely frayed, and everyone has sort of a hair trigger emotional response. So, someone mentioned in the comments the, choose to not engage. That is really your best strategy over the next few weeks. Now, looking at the planetary energies, we have Mercury going retrograde on the 18th, so that's in 2 days from now. This is actually a little close. Hold on. Mercury going going retrograde on the 18th. Sun going into Cancer on the 20th. The first of 3 moons in Cancer, or the Cap Cancer axis. So June 21st, new moon, annular solar eclipse. June 23rd, Neptune goes retrograde. Now that can make people feel a little less soft and cuddly, which, given what's going on right now, it's hard to believe anyone is feeling soft and cuddly. So that's going to add like another layer on that sort of angry energy that's going on right now. On the 25th, Venus goes direct, so she'll be a little less pissy. But then on the 27th, Mars goes into Aries. Now, that's good for us for 2 reasons, because Mars in Pisces can make us overly emotional and extremely energetically drained. You can go from, moments of elation to things can go from the top of the spiritual mountain to the bottom of the depression abyss. And so when that Mars goes into Aries, that'll dry us out a little bit more, give us a lot more energy. It's also, though, going to make everybody on the planet a little bit angrier. Then, on June 30th, we have Jupiter conjunct Pluto. Now, that Jupiter and Pluto conjunction is square Aries at 24 Aries, which is where I have my natal moon. So, this period is quite interesting for me as well. Aries, I talked about in my last reading. So it's really not, and then on July 1st, Saturn goes back into Capricorn, right? So he's going back to finish up the collapse of the institution, or start checking on how those new foundations are going, right? And so that puts Saturn, Jupiter, and Pluto back in Capricorn at the same time. All right, 4 came out, so let's read 4 today. So yes, as I said, best way to sort of approach, ground as much as possible. And just know that almost every conversation could be a trap. Right, not an intentional trap, but you could trip and fall in a conversation that looked like it was pretty innocuous. So you want to make sure you're very centered with yourself, very grounded, as objective as possible, because emotions and feelings are running high. It's kind of like, when you've been drinking too much, or when you watch on TV and all the those reality shows where everybody's drunk and they get into those really ridiculous fights, and you're looking at it and you're like, it's just because of the alcohol, right? They wouldn't have that fight if they weren't so drunk. Right now, we are energetically kind of in that same state. We wouldn't have this fight or we wouldn't have that discussion if we were under normal energies or more peaceful energies. And here's the overall energy for the rest of the month, recovery. And interesting because I was also just talking about drinking too much. So just be very mindful of what's actually going on, right? And remember that people will unintentionally try and bait you into conversations, or just like they might be bringing up old beefs, and especially when the sun goes into Cancer. Anyway, let's get the challenge energy for Aries for the rest of the month for June 2020. Ooh. Okay, hold on. Oh, interesting. Okay, so the challenge energy is the rebel, which is the emperor. So this is our sign. So we may have a hard time dealing, like either finding our Aries energy, or we may have a hard time not breaking free from these chains or not setting fire to situations. Our Aries energy is going to be the challenge. Let's get another card for here. Which one did I want? This one. And I don't know if you read in the news yesterday, they said that we misinterpreted the Mayan calendar and actually the end of the universe is on June 21st, which would be amusing. But it would certainly be the piece that 2020 has been missing, no? Like it's like in a show, you have the drama that leads up, and then there's a sort of catalytic moment where that after that everything calms down. So I do think that after this summer things are going to calm down, but we do have to get through the summer first. Okay. Right. So it's just about, it's a question of time. It's a question of timing. It's a question of situations unlocking when they need to. I want to read this recovery note here, because this is very much about healing. And as you can see, it's like this guy's kind of speaking words that provide a key to recovery. So it may be that through when Mercury goes retrograde, you may get some information that helps you unlock a feeling of healing. Somebody may say something, there's that triangle energy. Somebody may say something that causes an old issue in you to come up, which allows it to be seen and to be recovered. Here we go. Pain from our past unlocks the door of understanding. And I can confirm that this is what's kind of happening to me right now. The legend is Greta wakes to find painful childhood memories all around her room. All around her room. In the distance appears a huge wooden door with white light streaming through the keyhole. As Greta tries to gather up her painful memories, they melt and form the great lilac key. She places the key in the lock, and a wave of fear engulfs her. The door opens, and the pain and fear recede. Clarity comes. Survival is no longer enough. So the inspiration is, once the key has been used to open the door, you will have a new way of living, one without keys. Where you are headed, there are no locks. And the key ideas now are facing fear, wounding is strength, courage to face pain, and awakening greatness. Okay, yeah, so there... Let me get some more cards, but this already starts to make sense. It's that, we can sort of, through our Aries energy, I don't know if you can see, but he's sort of breaking chains down here. He has chains around his feet. And this is sort of a charging into battle energy with that fire. So we may... And then the question of time, right? So divine timing, time is flat, and one of the things that I've been divorced for over 10 years, but because obviously I have a child with my ex-husband, we are frequently in contact. And even though we've been divorced for 10 years and I have no attachment to him. There are still situations that come up that feel like it was 10 years ago, right? And one of the things that happened over the weekend to me actually made me realize that I still obviously have some residual pain over that situation or over another situation. My ex-husband is very much like my father, and I'm sure there's a whole ancestral story there. And so actually I made some appointments for ancestral healing. But it's all about that time can feel compressed. You know, you may think that just because time has passed, you have healed from certain wounds, and that may not actually be the case. It may be that situations arise right now that allow you to see these past pains almost in a physical form, right? They're going to almost be impossible to ignore because you may be having reactions to things that you thought you were over, or you may be having reactions to things that you've had in the past. Things that may challenge your sense of strength, things that may challenge your sense of being an Aries. Also things that make you mad, right? And this could go either way. They could be things that you're having trouble breaking free of the chains, or the challenge is going to be able to use this past pain to unlock what's been binding you, right? Because here's the story of the key, and then here we have these chains that he has on his ankle suddenly being freed from. So there is definitely a question of or a story of the past coming back to not feel pleasant to allow you to break free. Now part of the breaking free is going to be your Aries courage to be willing to look at and be willing to deal with what's in front of you, right? Because that pain that we may be avoiding dealing with or looking at or talking about is exactly the thing we need to allow us to break free from what's been holding us back and let us charge forward, right? And that's kind of what this Mars in Pisces thing is. You know, Mars in Pisces, Pisces is healing. And since our planet is in there, in our 12th house, it's really been about digging up the past, the history, you know, and going through that sort of emotional storage closet that no one ever wants to go into. And we've spent so much time in there and so much time in Pisces this year that it's been hard for us to, we probably have wounds, old wounds, that it's been very hard for us to ignore right now. And so what this is saying is, it's time. The time has come, and here's those hands of God, you know, that you see in the tarot all the time, bringing you the cups and the swords and everything else. The divine is giving us the time now, the moment, to finally take a look at things in that emotional storage closet that we have not wanted to deal with, in order that we might break the chains that have been binding us for so long, so we can start carrying that true Aries fire. And look, he's got the phoenix wings behind him into our next chapter. Now let's get some more cards here. Can I get the energy right now for where we are? Energy right now at mid-month. Ooh, my goodness. I'm gonna... Okay, let me flip this one. Okay, so we have the ghost lens and the talisman. And it's also the second time that I try and get one thing and it's two things. So that means that there's the issues that you're dealing with are not as simple as they seem. There's actually more to them. And it may be, like I said, those conversations, you may be at lunch and having a very simple conversation that doesn't have any intention of being painful or resurrecting past wounds, but it happens to. It brings up something else behind it that we're not being obvious about, or that we're not aware of. These both came up in reverse. So let's take a look at what that says. Talisman. Okay. So a reverse talisman card warns, warns that you must be aware of the repetitive patterns in your life. Sometimes the things that feel most familiar carry with them reminders of what you don't want to experience again. Yet here you are, faced with an important choice. You can move forward cautiously, or you can look for another path that will take you in a new direction. Consider this. If you've fallen down a hole a few times, why wouldn't you walk around it this time? If you know where the hole lies, treasure that wisdom. Although the universe is unlimited, every individual path has some limitations. Accepting that not all avenues are available to you at this time is a powerful realization. That said, you don't have to retrace your footsteps either. No matter what, you're on this path to gain greater wisdom, regardless of the choice you make. This is the time to ask others who have been here before for advice and assistance. Their wisdom will awaken your own. So that's very interesting about this recovery, right? And this says to me also that for those of you that feel very stuck, you may need to talk to someone about it, either a friend, either a professional, a healer. There's recovery through conversation. Right? And it may be in getting advice from elders, getting advice from the divine. But through the conversation, and that's probably that Mercury in retrograde, through the conversation, the key to unlocking this door that's been keeping you blocked, that's been hiding the path from you or allowing you to move forward, that's making you feel like you're lost in the ghost lands, and losing time, will appear. But it is through sharing, right? You have to talk about it. You have to, keeping it in your mind is not enough at this point. Let's see this other card here. So when the Ghostland cards appears reversed, it's a sign that you're wandering in an emotional or intellectual place with no real substance. Cards are kind of bitchy today, right? There is no point longing for that which is already gone or hasn't happened yet. Perhaps you've created a fantasy of the good old days or some elusive utopian destination that lies somewhere in the future when this or that will happen to make things better. Live one day at a time. Each day is a new beginning filled with truth and beauty. Stay away from the ghost lands of past and future. Avoid nostalgia and longing for something better. Find joy in what is present in your life today. And I feel like this kind of echoes also what I said before about things not being as they seem, right? That the emotional energy is so heavy that there are potentially conversations that fights we wouldn't have if we were under normal situations, but perhaps those conversations are exactly what needs to happen in order to unlock this situation here, this feeling, this sense of being blocked. Excuse me. But it also says, but this also says what I was saying before, it's about it being emotional quicksand, that you do have to sort of intentionally choose to stay in a good place because the energy right now is kind of like a black hole and will suck you in towards it. So it's important, especially since, the South Node at 29 Sag is very close to the galactic center. So there is an energy that can feel you like getting sucked back into past behaviors. And the North Node, currently at 29 Gemini, and will be conjunct this eclipse that's coming up, so it's kind of like whatever happens at this eclipse time is to put more power and focus and energy onto that north node, because there seems to be a tendency right now of dwelling in the past, getting sucked into the past. And so it's like we definitely want to bring up the past so that we can see it, heal it, and release it. But it's not a space you want to get stuck in. So be very careful about over dwelling on the past. Like I said, I clearly have some unresolved issues with my ex-husband, or just with men, like Taurus men, earth men in general. And this weekend is, when you start, like, when you're in the shower, whatever you're doing, you're having the fight in your head that you would want to fight. And I literally could not stop it. And so every time I would start to think about, what I would have, could have, should have said, I would just say, no, and start thinking about anything else until my mind moved off of it. And it would naturally get sucked right back in there, and I would have to do it again. No. And so it's very much a practice of not allowing that past energy to pull you back in there. Okay, and then we have the balancing act in reverse here. So things, again, may feel out of balance. And like I said, I think and this is the 11. So let's read this. As long as we're here, we might as well. It's about making sure you don't give too much energy to one form of energy. So this is a time when it's important to address the areas of your life where there is discord. Are you fixated on getting your own way? Are you obsessed with one thing, neglecting essential matters that require your attention? Taking your own inventory is a necessary step towards rebalancing your life, and it's the only way to reach an equitable solution. Adjust yourself to the conditions of your environment that you have no control over, and balance will come more easily. If there is to be fairness, it must come from you. And that's interesting because remember we talked last time about, in this karmic situation, you may be the teacher. Star card and Two of Cups at the bottom. So yes, in being the teacher, it's kind of like up to you to, in this triangle, when one person's energy shifts in the triangle, the whole triangle shifts. So if you are able to heal through communication the imbalances in those relationships, but heal them with yourself, the connection with the other person inevitably changes. Right? Let's get 3 cards here for Aries, please, for the last half of June and 20. Okay, there's that Two of Pentacles, right? So it's sort of juggling act, trying to keep things into balance, but also like needing, in order to be able to move forward, needing to put one thing down. But yes, definitely a question of dealing with the two polar opposites, trying to bring things into balance, getting out of this up and down energy. 2 more cards, please, for Aries. Ooh, nice. Fool came out in reverse, but my deck knows I don't read reversals. So if it's interesting, because I was looking at, we have the 11s, which are the 2, there's a 2, 3, 4. And then I noticed that it goes backwards to start over. But you see, in order to be the Fool, he had to ditch that thing that he, like, not the balancing act, but the game that we perpetuate, right? Sometimes we're like, oh no, it's like, do I, don't I? And in that indecision, or in the trying to keep both options alive, trying to look at the past and the present, but not necessarily the now, is what sort of keeps you suspended in time and not able to move forward. So in order to feel sort of that new rush of energy, this balancing or juggling or keeping in motion, in an infinite motion, patterns, that has to get dropped, right? In order to be able to move forward free. You see, he's like wide open. There's only newness. It's got the sun at his back. And this sort of flower of rebirth. So it definitely talks about putting things down, getting rid of this endless game of up and down and back and forth and in and out and patterns that we actively keep in play that need to come up to be visualized. Now is the time for them to be seen, which can come through conversation. Because once you put those two things down, you are freed from this. It's kind of like, I mentioned this in the comments the other day about the myth of Sisyphus. You know, he rolls up the rock, he lets go, the rock rolls down. Or he rolls the boulder up the hill, gets to the top of the hill, lets the boulder go, rolls back down. And he pushes it back up, rolls back down, pushes it back up, etc., etc. So this is sort of this guy's condemnation through eternity, that he has to keep rolling this stupid boulder up the hill. He can also just say no, right? And be like, you know what? I'm done. I'm not touching that boulder again. I'm going to do something new. And the choice to leave the boulder there is his. Let's get one more card. One more card, please, for Aries for the last half of June. Okay, yeah, Queen of Swords. And that's about getting clarity, mental clarity, being willing to cut things off. And it also, like, if we look at the shapes and how they're formed, right? The Fool is looking at the past. And once he sort of takes that leap, like drops these two pentacles, takes that leap off a new cliff or into a new, and that's interesting. Like I said, he keeps pushing up the boulder. He could just let the boulder roll down, right? And just take a dive off the cliff and see what's on the other side of the mountain. And then here on the other side of the mountain is this sort of very... She's frequently referred to as the divorcee, but, you know, she's seen stuff. She's wise. She's not unwelcoming because her hand is extended, but she's also more discerning, right? She's not gonna, this person, right? And don't take this the wrong way. I'm not trying to be mean. We're all in this energy, but you know, when you're at court, you have the Joker who's there to juggle for you, for your entertainment. The Queen observes the Joker. She isn't the Joker, right? She knows that these are games, and she knows that in her position, she cannot play games anymore. So she's welcoming because her hand is extended, and she says, come, I'm willing to listen, I'm willing to discuss, I'm willing to hear you out. But she's also like, but don't even, right? I've got this gigantic sword and I'm clearly not afraid to use it because it's drawn. So the Queen will not allow, the Queen will not allow herself to play these games. That's not what she does. but she also won't let this crap go on for too long. So, wrapping up, and then I'll get a card for an advice card for us, and we'll read these. Very karmic time right now. Through conversation, which may be welcome or unwelcome, we will likely get the opportunity to see some past pains, past patterns that we've been keeping in play, perhaps simply just by giving them thought energy, by dwelling on the past or focusing on the future. We keep these balls in play. We'll be able to see this pattern, and if we so choose to go through the recovery, to boldly face whatever this is, to unlock the door into the next chapter and go through it with new energy, what lies on the other side is the strength. And I'm sorry about this reflection. I don't even have the lights on. I don't know why it's there. Is the strength and power that we've been missing, right? But as this card reminds us here, this balancing act, that as long as we're waiting for someone else to put these balls down for us, that's never going to happen, because they're not aware, right? And it's our wound to heal, because in this particular situation, we're sort of driving the energy as the teacher, as the more learned person. So especially with that Saturn now going back into Capricorn, we're going to have an opportunity for things that we probably thought were closed, that we had already healed from, that were done. We're going to be able to see that there's still some residual energy that's keeping us stuck in the past or tied to the future, and not allowing us to completely live our full potential, full energy in the present moment. And it's going to come through the ability to discern what we want in our life and what we don't want in our life, right? Like no longer entertaining games, no longer perpetuating situations that look like this, right? If you have if you're one of those people that was always attracted to emotionally unavailable partners, that attraction is, but it also comes from you. So this is like, how are they observing? How are they behaving? Are they calling when they say they're going to call? Is there evidence that this person is interested in me? And if they're not, then having the courage, breaking free from these past patterns, having the courage to look in a different direction, face in a different direction, move in a different direction, and be willing to discern what comes at you in order to achieve a proper sense of balance in your future. I'm looking for a deck. Okay, let's get one piece of advice and then we'll read those cards up front. Advice for Aries, end of June 2020. Advice for Aries, June 2020. Holy Amethyst, divine alchemy. Move beyond current challenges, focus on what you desire. And it's interesting because there's that purple, violet flames energy there, which brings in divine healing. So there should be on YouTube some sort of healing, excuse me, with violet flames. Maybe watch it. I found a bunch of really interesting angelic Reiki healers that are quite, it's a temporary fix, but it's a temporary fix that helps you sort of clean off the weighty energy to be able to sort of face this. But but have a look at those. Now let's go into these. This first one here is the wolf spirit. Turn knowledge into wisdom, which is what we've been talking about, right? Turning this recovery into wisdom. I wanted to read these, but I can't find the book. Oh, here it is. Sorry. Wolf spirit. Okay. Wolf spirit leads you deep into the enchanted forest that holds the secrets to your life. Can you sense her beckoning to you to follow, asking you to take all you have learned and all you are learning and make it yours? Can you integrate it all into your body, mind, and spirit? Whatever lessons you learned along the way, do not leave them unexamined. Be loyal to your dreams, to your soul, and to turning knowledge into wisdom and experience into magic. You are the one you have been waiting for. Be still and know that the sound of your heart beats in harmony with the whole world. The appearance of wolf spirit is an auspicious omen that says you are truly in alignment in your destiny. Very nice. And that's interesting right over the TikTok card about timing, right? So that this for you is very divinely timed to help you come back into balance. Okay, here we have the turtle spirit. Slow and steady wins the race. Let's read that. Turtle spirit arrives to remind you that when you do what you need to do, putting one foot in front of the other, that's very much that fool card, that you will see your intentions manifest in perfect timing. Your prosperity and love will grow exponentially. Now is not the time to rush around trying to force matters. Move slowly, perhaps even so slowly that it feels as if you are not moving at all. This may be a time to crawl before walking, taking your time to align to turtle spirit's place as you contemplate this road you are on. Doing what you need to do in this small moment that will soon pass. Turtle spirit reminds you that sometimes the best action is to slow right down. So if it feels as if you are not doing enough, know that simply being aware of what is happening right now may be an important step towards determining whether you need to pivot or simply keep putting one foot in front of the other. Very interesting. True love and true success comes with patience, says Turtle Spirit. Focus on the now and the next step will be clear. This card is the Groundhog Spirit. Time to let go. That is 31. Endings lead to beginnings, and death is a part of life. So Groundhog Spirit is here to let you know that it is time to accept the natural ending of something that is no longer serving you. We love to hold on to what is familiar, but the new needs space to arrive so growth can occur. When Groundhog Spirit appears, it is a sign that something in your present situation that you need to let go of so that something new can be born. Something that will far better serve you now, right? So it's kind of these three cards here. When the groundhog sees his shadow, he retreats to his den. So too might you yearn for a little more time to say goodbye and transition into the new. However, change is coming and it is good, so let go of your resistance. And that's this energy here. Spring brings many blessings, and what must die will always be reborn in a new form that will be right for you. Life requires change and detachment. Say farewell to whatever once served you and get ready for something amazing to take its place. Spirit is already sending it your way. Okay? And finally we have, we have the Rabbit Spirit. Now is a lucky time. Let's see what the Rabbit Spirit says. Well, certainly abundance. A sunny meadow calls, and Rabbit Spirit appears to lead you out of your dark warren and into the light so that you can participate in a fertile and beautiful experience. It may seem safe below ground, right? And those are those ghost lands. But the magic happens when you come out and take the risk of being vulnerable and co-creating something new. You are being invited into a new life that you have no experience with, but have no fear. Easier said than done. Today is also a time to be fruitful and productive as you enjoy Rabbit Spirit's sunny and prolific energy. At this time, whatever you intend to bring to life will find fertile ground. There are no mistakes, really, when you are co-creating with Spirit. So let new ideas spring to the surface, knowing that now is a lucky time of tremendous possibility. Okay, so lots of different stories, lots of different people lots of change going on. Discuss your pains, your patterns. Try and transform them into something visible so that they can unlock this door, open this door, allow you to move into a new chapter of your life by no longer repeating patterns that keep you stuck and in wastelands. Don't focus too much on the past or the future, because in this moment there's that galactic center that's sort of like serving as a black hole, and be the change you want to see. So in order to bring this situation into balance, it's really going to be, and allow that new change to come in, it's really up to you to put this down, that whatever this game is or this pattern, it's up to you to walk away from it and move into a space that's more discerning in order for you to be free and heal yourself. Not completely closed off, but not completely open either. But yes, it's a new chapter about how to turn these old games into new wisdom. Okay, hope this was helpful. I will see you at the eclipse. Take care. Bye.